How you doing?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I hope you have a good day.
Hope you have a better week.
I hope your month is full of successful days and a lot of great ventures. I hope you just come up, brother.
I hope your whole fucking year is spectacular.
Oh, you hope my year is spectacular?
Yeah.
You got something you want to say?
You got something?
Next month is March Madness. And us sports fans know that there is no crying in bracketology.
Okay.
You got to call your shot. You hope that if you build a bracket, the wins will come. But for some of these fans, their superstitions are real weird. Like they think the left side is the strong side. Don't let their alma mater be on that side. Ooh, they'll be beaming with happiness. Picking that team all the way to the finish, clear eyes, full hearts. If that team feels the rhythm, feels the stride, gets on up to like the Elite Eight, they'll just go absolutely crazy. Like to the point where they'll be taking at kneecaps. If they do win, they'll be good on talking shit for at least another 4 years. Talking about, this is how I won. Shut the gym down. Don't nobody else need to play. That kind of win where your alma mater wins you your bracket is pretty slim to none. About as slim as clearing a whole category in Jeopardy.
What was the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden?
What is a quince?
Yes.
With that, for Paige, for Chance. What up, family? It's your boy Amaru, and we are back again for another episode of One Gotta Stay. We are here choosing between 4 impossible options of this episode of movies we love, and only one set of movies do we get to keep. It's either going to be baseball movies, football movies, basketball movies, or Olympics movies. But before we get into that, I have an illustrious panel with me today that I'd love to introduce. My sidekick, she was our token last week in the Hood Classics. She's back again for the sports episode, part of the Bitesize crew. One Miss Paige for Betty. Paige, how are you doing today?
Oh, I can't wait to drop my hot takes because I probably have the most ridiculous list on here, but I'm totally okay with it. So everyone's all going to come at me, but I'm ready to take it. So let's do this.
We're used to it. We know about you. Another person who knows all about you had small little rivalry, maybe a little bit bigger than small little rivalry on the Schmoedown. One Miss PG Peggy Gubbins, our own Icebox. How are you today? It's great to see you. It's been a minute since you've been on.
Yeah, had only the Schmoedown gone a couple more seasons, I have a feeling that rivalry would have been, I'm good. I am a little upset with myself for having kind of thrown out this particular topic because it was heartbreaking to make this list. It was tough. I'm interested to see how everyone's list shook out.
Yes, I would like to thank you very much because you definitely are the one who suggested this topic to me. So because of that, I had to get you on here. Yep. We do have one person who's having technical difficulties. He'll be back in a second. But the other one I had to get on here, very often arguing, you can see him arguing with Winston A. Marshall on the Outlaw Nation about sports. The one man I had to be like, John, you got to come on if you can. Speaking of the Schmoedown, speaking of the Outlaw Nation, all of that, one, the Outlaw, Mr. John Rocha, getting it up a little bit early in the morning for him. So I greatly appreciate it. John, how you feeling?
I'm good. I got 2 little puppies hanging out in the living room right now, so hopefully they stay quiet for the run of this thing. But very excited to jump into it. I know these 2 ladies know their sports, so it's going to be a lot. Oh, nice. It's going to be a lot of fun to get down and dirty with these 2. I don't know about Nate Milton, but we're going to figure it out as we go along. But thank you for having me on. And I'm repping the category you didn't choose. That's Liverpool soccer movies. Apparently, there's a lot of racism going on towards soccer in this country. But all right, we let it go. We'll let it go.
Look, Albi Celeste just won the World Cup. That is enough of wins for me because that is my first championship in my lifetime. Let's go Messi. Let's go Argentina. I'm loving it. So I just was like, you know what? Let's keep it out of there. But not staying out for long. One, he's back. He was here last year. He's back again. One, Mr. Nate Milton of the King of Sports podcast. I don't know who he's repping back there, but we'll see if he can keep a hold of this one or maybe just choke it away a little bit.
See, here's the thing, man. You invite me onto your program as a guest, and then you started off on a contentious note.
It's true.
But it's okay, brother. It's okay because I watched a little movie that I might talk about later on today, and it made me hopeful. Made me hopeful for today. We'll rank these movies we're choosy because we know one got to stay because I'm hopeful. Let's get it.
All right. And as we talk about those movies, I'll give you a rundown of you might figure out what's in each category. So we only get to choose one set of movies. So we have football movies, just a minor slither of what is included in that. Remember the Titans, Any Given Sunday, Little Giants, The Replacement, Rudy. Okay, sure. A whole lot of those football movies, plenty more. We also got basketball movies. Adam Sandler actually comes up a couple of times here with Hustle and Uncut Gems. One of my favorites, loving basketball. He Got Game, White Men Can't Jump, Hoosiers. We got Olympics movies, which is a little bit of the wild card because you got things like Munich and Richard Jewell on top of the fan favorites like Cool Runnings, Miracle, Blades of Glory. You got comedy, you got drama. And then last but not least, one of my favorite franchises ever in Major League. Yes, I'm including Back to the Minors, but we also got Field of Dreams, A League of Their Own. Everybody won some, which I know one person on here just can't stop talking about. Hardball, rest in peace, G Baby. 42, so many great movies, but we only get to choose one group. So to start us off with that one group, we're going to see what our number 4s are. What's the ones that are gone? I just can't stand up to the rest. So, Mr. Outlaw, John Rocha, you're going to start us off today. What is your number 4?
I think I put Olympic movies number 4, if I remember correctly. Can you bring that up again for me, Amaro?
Yes. The Olympic movies John does not care about.
I mean, Miracle is a damn good movie.
It's the best movie out of all of these movies. What do you mean?
It's such a good
every
movie.
Sports movie. That's the best sports movie.
Kurt Russell even gets away with that terrible wig. He is so damn good in this movie and the back and forth, and a bunch of new actors playing those hockey players, mirroring these hockey players who were college players taking on these pros at a time when we didn't take on pros. Look, you left Chariots of Fire off of there, which is the one that won the Oscar, man. What's wrong with you? That's a little bit. You got that on there? Oh, there it is. There at the bottom.
I just
Under Blades of Glory.
It, but it's
have you no shame? Have you no shame?
No, not really.
This is a great list of movies. A lot of places to go, but not a lot of people turn to Olympic movies when they talk about sports movies. It isn't the first thing that comes to mind when they talk about sports movies. And listen, we're shooting and recording this in America. So in America, we have won some things in Olympics for sure, but there's not a lot. We don't really turn to Olympic movies to inspire us necessarily when it comes to sports movies. So I put that one down lower on the list.
There's Cool Runnings, though. I will say that I have not seen Chariots of Fire, and I must see it. But Cool Runnings is amazing. I, Tonya is really good.
Tanya's good.
But I must agree with you. Does anybody else besides me also have Olympics at number 4?
Yeah.
No, because you guys are all smoking something that's not illegal. Something that's not legal.
Banned by the IOC.
Insane, man. I was going to give my miracle speech, but I'll wait to the end because you know what, guys? Great moments are born from great opportunities. And you guys don't know nothing about opportunities, obviously. So
look, I love Cool Runnings. It's one of my favorites there. But again, John said it all. I am not like as interested in going back to them. I saw Miracle. It was cool. I saw I, Tonya. It was cool. Prefontaine. I'm a runner. Fine. Race. Fine. As much as I love the man. I'm thinking about another movie. I take that back. Anyway, all those race movies, all those things, it makes me forget them. It really does. Cool Runnings is the most memorable for me. And if that's the one at the top of my list in terms of what I'm remembering, I don't need them. I'm sorry. Peggy, you are the same. What about you?
I'll wait to talk about my rant on Olympic films, but no, you guys are crazy because these are the most monumental sports. These are the ones that mean the most. If you think when it comes down to it.
Yeah. I think the reason why Olympic movies, at least according to the consensus of the group, the esteemed panel, is because I think there's something to a team in a sports movie. And a lot of these Olympic movies, you're talking about singular athletes or a pair. And so to me, Cool Runnings is the best Olympic movie because we got this team that we care about. Talking about Yul Brynner, talking about that man Sanka, talking about DeReese, talking about Junior Bevel, who had to fight his father. That's a great movie. And it's it almost swayed me enough to put Olympics at third, but it's a tough competition right now. So they're not on the medal stand for me.
That's the thing. It's going to break my heart no matter which of these categories I give up, because there's at least one or two movies that I absolutely adore, and Miracle being the one in this one. I mean, the fact that this movie, you know how it's going to end. There's nobody who doesn't know how this movie is going to end when going into it. But the way that it's shot and the music, it's swelling and the clock ticking down and everyone looking up at it, you are on the edge of your seat, even though you know what's going to happen, but you're still sitting there like, oh my God, are they going to pull this off? But and that's a great movie.
And that might be one of the reasons why Olympics is down on the list, because for the rest of the movies, unless they're based on real life, you're not sure what's happening. So they get a little bit more excitement. You get a little bit more speech. Paige, you are the odd person out here.
I always am.
So what is it that you picked as your number 4 that apparently nobody else agrees with you?
Yeah, well, everyone's probably going to think I'm smoking something crazy. But for me, I rank these based on the sports, like my ranking of sports, I guess, like which I like the least and like the best.
Yeah.
And sorry guys, don't kill me, but I picked basketball movies. I know it's March Madness right now.
At the end? Wow.
But to me, basketball is like my least favorite sport.
Oh my God.
And I mean, I can shoot some hoops, but yeah, I made Peggy leave. Sorry. But I mean,
you also have control of this stream, so I would kick you out, but you would just put yourself back in.
Exactly. So no, I mean, Space Jam is awesome. Uncut Gems is great, but is it really a basketball movie? Like Mike, I was talking to someone the other day.
You're picking all the bad ones.
Yeah, I am. But that's what I mean, though. Yes, like White Man Can't Jump and like He's Got Game. Great films, but those aren't films I go back to.
Wow.
And I don't know, basketball movies to me, when I was thinking of sports movies, I'm looking for something that like inspires me. Like I grew up playing hockey my whole life. Like I need inspiration in my life. To me, like basketball movies really don't inspire me like all that much. Like,
wow.
I mean, there are some there, but like
you're saying Teen Wolf doesn't inspire you. You're saying Hoosiers, which is all about the underdog overcoming, doesn't inspire you. You're saying Finding Forrester doesn't inspire you. Glory Road doesn't inspire you.
You know what does?
Coach Carter doesn't inspire you.
White Man Can't Jump doesn't inspire. Like, there's a lot of inspirational movies.
But I also went like these are like basketball is like my least favorite sport, so it's the least one I'm going to go back to and watch these films. So like if I have to lose them, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But
interesting.
That's my thing.
Kevin Garnett is playing himself in Uncut Gems. Of course, it's a basketball movie. It has your Boston Celtic in the film. Your key guy.
This is true. But can I give a quick shout out to? I didn't know if basketball counted or not in this category or in baseball. So, but there was a Disney movie back in the day, and there was a coach, and it was like a bunch of Jewish kids, and this dude, like pro basketball player, coached them. I did love that movie. I have no idea what it's called. It was a Jewish basketball team, like little kids. It was great. Shout out to that.
I don't know. I grew up on Air Bud, which is also another one of the basketball films that we love and adore and keep. So I cry
every time I watch that movie. So
it's called Full Court Miracle. That's what it's called.
Yeah. That is what it is. There you go.
Channel original film. Yeah.
Full Court Miracle.
True story, by the way. True story.
It is. I recommend everyone watch that one.
Oh my gosh.
And all the basketball movies, watch that one, guys.
Madness.
It was a pretty unanimous number 4 here in terms of what our 4s were. Except for Paige, she doesn't like Adam Sandler apparently because Hustle, Uncut Gems is nothing for her.
Yeah.
Me, Rocha, Peggy, and Nate all have Olympics at number 4. So let's just keep it moving. Nate, you're up, sir. Yes. What is your number 3?
And this is where the plot thickens, brother, because I had so much. I knew what my number 1 was, and I knew what my number 4 was. So the question became, how do I delineate between 3 and 4? And it just came down to quantity, versus quality. Like, I think the movies I like in this category are probably better than the movies I like in the next category, but there's just so much more of the other ones. So I went with football. As much as it broke my heart, I'm somebody who watches Remember the Titans on a yearly basis, like strong side, left side, like a movie that teaches a small town to be just a little bit less racist through the power of competitive sports. I like Remember the Titans. I like Any Given Sunday, even though some parts of it are nonsensical. You know, the Water Boy. I'm not a huge Adam Sandler fan, but the Water Boy gets a pop out of me every time. So I had a hard call to make here, but I went with football just because I feel like the next category I have just has more variety, and so that's why I gave it a slight nod.
Does anybody else have football movies at their number 3?
Yes. Football movies in my number 3. Yeah, absolutely. Bring that list up again.
Oh
again
my
tomorrow.
gosh.
I mean, you got to take a look at these movies. Oh, yeah, sure. Remember the Titans good. Friday Night Lights, the TV series, is better. Any Given Sunday is absolutely atrocious, except for Al Pacino's speech.
My name
Little
is
Giants.
Willie.
Little Giants never happened. The Replacements. That's about my skins that I don't like that movie. Jared Leto is only.
I kind of love The Replacements, though.
I don't get it.
I
Some people
adore
love
The
it.
Replacements.
It's like Rudy. Rudy's a terrible movie. That's the
I'm
top
with you
10.
there.
The top
with you
10
there.
show
Dare you, sir.
hates Rudy. The top 10 show, we made it very clear before we shuttered our doors. Every year we made it clear that Rudy was never a film we were going to put on any of our top 10 lists for sure. The Blind Side is just a white woman using a black man to get herself an Oscar. The Longest Yard, the original is great. The Water Boy, I can take or leave, is one of the Sandler films. And the program's not even the best of those kinds of movies. Varsity Blues is better than the program. So when you're looking at these football movies, the quality, and I think what Nate said is absolutely spot on. The quality of them isn't as high. Even that most recent Kurt Warner one with the late, great Zachary Levi, I mean that about his career. That didn't even get people into the theaters, put butts in seats. So you look at this situation, football, they rarely get it right in football for some reason. But you know, you wish they get, because like you said, the NFL, I put concussion in here because that tacitly hits out football as well. I thought Will Smith
it is
did a
definitely one
good
of
job in that film. So there's just not the high quality you're expecting. There are some good ones, but you would hope with a country that like loves this game as much as it does, we'd have produced some better films. I mean, Invincible is good. I know a lot of people like that. So, you know, there are
Gridiron Gang.
What's that?
Gridiron Gang.
Yeah, sure, Gridiron Gang. But like, you know,
Jerry Maguire.
like, you know what I'm saying? You know, there's a level. But Maguire's really about the sports agent, not really about Ron Tidwell. He has like 2 scenes in his
But they are the most memorable scenes.
And guess what? He was nominated, guys. So
you know,
Not only nominated, he won that one.
What's the one with the Chicago Bears? Oh yeah, Brian Piccolo, whatever that was.
Brian's song.
Brian's song.
I guess
Billy
That
Dee.
makes grown men cry. They make grown men cry every time they watch that one.
Yeah.
I
But the
love
quality is
Brian
not as
Piccolo.
high. That's the problem.
But the amount of Little Giants was my movie growing up, and it 100% exists. 100% exists. That is one of my favorite children's movies ever. And The Replacements it's one of the theater experiences I don't ever forget. I remember where I was going. Love that film to death. Friday Night Lights, yes. Sure, the TV show is better, but there weren't many other of the TV shows of the other sports that I could think of, and I was like, that would give it a little bit of edge. So I'm gonna stick to movies here. I don't agree here. My number 3 is a lot. I think I feel the same way y'all feel about football movies. With my number 3, it's I don't like it as much as I like those football movies. They're more entertaining. Peggy, you don't have football at your number 3.
No.
So what do you have at your number 3, Peggy?
Again, I'm going to preface this with every selection killed me because there is a favorite movie in every single sport. And as much as A League of Their Own is one of my all-time favorite movies, I had to put baseball at my number 3 just because looking at the overall collective of baseball movies compared to the other 2 that I have not named yet, pound for pound, I like those movies more. Even though I love baseball movies, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it hurt. It killed me.
Wow.
But yeah, baseball's my number 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have found a Russian plant in the show. who hates baseball movies? That's un-American for God's sake.
Putting them third does not equate hatred.
That's like a bronze medal.
I adore Field of Dreams. I adore
Fever Pitch.
Like I said, Fever. Oh, don't get me started on Fever Pitch. You give me Rob. Major League is one of my all-time favorite movies. You give me sports with a love story, I am on board.
Wow.
So.
I'm shocked.
You have a league of their own. You have Major League.
Yeah.
You have Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
You have Bull Durham.
Uh-huh.
You have so many
but yeah, they're
movies.
They're my three.
Movies that
bro.
honestly, I don't care about. It's also my number 3. I'm sorry.
Hey, okay.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I also A League of Their Own is amazing. I don't go back to those films at all.
Wow.
Field of Dreams is boring to me.
Yeah.
It is absolutely just like I care
God.
nothing about that film. Not a single thing.
Wow.
Sure, you got the father relationship. James Earl Jones is great. No.
Man. Wow.
Give me a League of Their Own. Give me Major League and nothing else. I don't need the rest of them. Not a bit. Trouble with the Curtain. No. I'm sorry. It's just the reason this is 3 and not 4 is because probably those 2 movies.
Wow.
And they're probably objectively better.
I can't even. I gotta wait.
Outside of
I was
that,
just gonna disrespect the fan.
I can't even.
This is what we doing? Bobby De Niro?
Bobby D.
Sorry, The Rookie is another one I love. I don't go back to The Sandlot. It's cool. Moneyball I've seen once. It's amazing. I don't want to go see it again. I don't. I'm sorry. I do not.
The Natural. It's a goddamn classic. Moneyball. Anyway, I'm gonna save my. Never mind. I'm gonna save my shit. But like, you're an insane person, and I'm ashamed I've come on this show. So
No, we can't.
Well, shit. Now Roby's gonna hate me because it's my number 3 too.
Oh,
God. Wow. We live in 2 Americas, apparently.
Jesus.
I went with okay, yes, I am from Massachusetts.
I mean,
but from my generation of sports loving fans, we have been very honored with our sports teams. The Red Sox, we've been spoiled, hands down. But for me, fucking baseball is so fucking boring. Out of any sporting event, I probably I've been to a lot of Bruins games, but Red Sox, I've probably been to Fenway the most. And man, I can just not sit through baseball. It's so fucking boring. But I mean, yes, there are some great films in there. But like I said in the beginning, guys, I go for motivation. What gets me amped up? Baseball does not fucking make me get amped up. It makes me want to take a nap on the couch when the game's on. And that's how I feel with some of the movies. I mean, yes, The Sandlot's great. Field of Dreams makes me cry every time. A League of Their Own.
It's killing you again.
Yeah, I know. Fuck you guys. Whatever. But I'm trying to even think Everybody Wants Some is great, but that's also a college flick. That's not really a baseball movie. Bad News Bears is great when I was a kid, and that's what made baseball fun. That's a fun baseball movie. But other than that, yeah, to me, baseball's boring.
Wow.
Sorry, I watched Strasburg battle against Lincecum live in San Francisco, and I fell asleep in the 5th inning.
That's, you know what?
Do
you guys go by yourself to ball games, or do you go with?
I go to drink.
Do you go with boring people to these ball games? I've never been bored in a ball game, and I've been at a ball game for 16 innings one time. It's a blast. It's so much fun.
The heat, the just sitting there, the waiting, the yay. Okay. No, I might have. Me and my boys were fun. This again, G baby. I am so sorry, G baby.
Up in here.
And the movies are great. They're not my favorites. They're not my favorites. It's all those quote unquote really, really classic great ones that I'm all right. My favorite ones are the ones that aren't as good.
Did you
Yeah,
guys have
this is
dads in your
plain
houses
simple.
growing up? I'm just asking. I mean, that's supposed to be passed on generation to generation. It's lovely.
Yes, and he hated baseball.
Oh.
Also hated
My
baseball.
dad doesn't like
Could not
baseball
stand
So
it.
it's hereditary then.
There it is.
Yes,
There it is.
the only thing he hated worse was golf because he had to be the caddy. That is it.
Wow. That's a shame. That is a shame.
Oh yeah. With that, we have shown our fours
Wow.
and
Holy
our threes.
crap. Peggy's got a third too. Peggy didn't say a word.
Yeah, Peggy started off.
Oh, she was. Oh, sorry.
Peggy started it off.
Paige and Amara were talking so much they drowned you out. I'm sorry.
That's
all
what
right,
we
fine.
do. That's what we do. Me, Paige, and Peggy have baseball as our number 3. The Outlaw and Nate had football at their number 3. I will be honest. When it comes to those top 3, it is really, really close. But we're just gonna take the gloves off. But before we do that, please make sure, as always, go to bitesizebreakdown.com. We got both really big reviews for Shazam as well as The Last of Us up, and a couple of Canadian indies because we got some Canadian folks in our crew in Brother, which was actually really interesting and really good. And I like movies, so please check us out. Go to the website, check out our reviews, follow us online, and enjoy a lot of the things that we present there. But let's get to it. Let's let not hold on anymore. The numbers for our number ones. One of us has basketball. One of us has football. One of us has Olympics. And 2 of us have baseball.
I can assign everyone their picks right now, I bet, too.
Yes, you could, because basketball is my favorite sport. I like to dribble it up and down the court. Look. Here's my reason basketball is number 1. Football has some really, really fun movies. But I am with y'all. They're not all that great. Basketball has the perfect combination of extremely great movies, but I think it has some of the most underseen gems, period. Anybody I talk to that hasn't seen it as a kid, that hasn't watched Sunset Park, you want inspiring. You want a team. You want Terrence Howard hitting 2 free throws with a 60% free throw percentage to go to a playoff. I am sorry. I lived and taught in Richmond where Coach Carter takes place. Oh, wow. The fact that the basketball movies are the ones where teams actually lose. You don't know what's going to happen, and they lose. Then it doesn't happen in other sports movies.
What are you
Uncut
talking
gems
about?
and
We just
hustle.
talked about League of Their Own. They lose at the end in League of Their Own. What are you talking about?
That's why I said it's League of Their Own, and then Major League, and then everything else.
Major League, they never went to the series. They lost.
The disrespect and the erasure of the Racine Peaches.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
That's very true.
I'm honestly more nonsense when people don't have football movies up higher.
Yeah.
Because for me, like I said in the beginning, guys, I mean, football isn't my number 1 pick, but it's my number 2 because those are some inspiring ass films. Like, I don't know. I like physical contact sports. So I like things that get down and dirty. But guys, obviously I fucking picked Olympic sports because Miracle is the greatest sports movie
hockey
of
player
all time.
picks Olympic sports. I'm shocked.
Miracle is mighty. I'm sorry, Miracle is the Mighty Ducks for adults.
No,
It's
but it's
not-
also the
it's
most
true.
inspirational. It's the most inspirational sports movie of all time. Like when I go, I want to feel tension. I want to feel like the desire to win and all that shit. You got that in I, Tanya, but people on her team breaking legs for her to win and stuff. Like that's the shit.
Allegedly, it's never.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't come
get us
after
in
me.
trouble.
Yes, no, yeah, I don't want to get killed. But I mean, even Blades of Glory is a fucking great time. Eddie the Eagle, underrated. That movie's great.
Yeah.
The best thing about Blades of Glory is the line used in Paris by Jay-Z and Kanye West. That's the best thing about that movie.
Yes, but Cool Running also. I ran cross country in high school, and I don't know why, but we loved that movie, and it's just another inspirational film. And guys, I grew up coaching. I played hockey like my whole life for like 22 years, and literally, I coached hockey like after I graduated college and stuff. And I have given that speech, like I have given the Herb Brooks speech to my 12-year-old girls that I coached. And you know what? It gets everyone fired up every fucking time. So,
you know what gets people more fired up in that speech? The inch or a mile speech that Chino gives at any given Sunday.
That's right.
I went with football as my number 1. Apparently, to the chagrin of Rocha down here, but I'm sorry. Necessary Roughness hasn't even been brought up, and that is one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Sinbad at his finest.
I'm not going to deny that.
That hurts.
I adore the movie Rudy. I adore the movie The
God.
Replacements. Especially the movie The Replacements. Invincible, it's right up there for me. Little Giants. I like the remake of The Longest Yard. Amazing soundtrack to that one.
Come on, Peggy.
It is a great movie if you just want to sit there and just kind of turn your brain off and watch a movie that just makes you laugh and smile.
Burt Reynolds, Adam Sandler. Come on.
Burt Reynolds is in the second one too.
Don't sleep on Adam Sandler with the sports movies. He is just quietly niched himself a really great spot with it. So.
Look, football is my number 2 because the actual greatest sports movie of all time is Remember the Titans. Yeah. That is the actual pick.
It's strong
for one of the best sports movies of all time.
Like the second best. Second best.
Sure.
Just for the one scene alone, man. At the end of the game, the big game, where we've got Bertier, spoiler alert, Bertier's in the hospital. And Julius is out here playing this game for his friend. They win the game, and we get Bertier's ex-girlfriend, quote unquote. I don't know what their relationship status was. Who left Bertier earlier in the film because she could not put aside her prejudice. And she walks up to this boy Julius and says, "Julius,
that was corny. Yeah,
my world is different from your world, but I'm starting to learn a little bit more about it." I'm like, why are you putting this on this boy after this game, lady? Your issues are not Julius's problem, but I appreciate the sentiment.
I think it was before the game. Yeah.
It was right.
Yeah.
Before the game. Like, come on now.
But you know how white people. Let's make it about me first.
Talk about white people. Can I also name drop the Cutting Edge because another great Olympic sport.
Oh shit!
One of the few rom-coms that I'm not a fan of.
I forgot about Cutting Edge. Topic. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, dude. Come on, guys. I watch that movie all the fucking time. I love that movie. Is it a actual good film? No, but Olympic sports films are actually great directed films.
Okay.
They actually feel like Academy level films, and
you can find an Academy level film in each of these.
Because you know what's great direction.
Of them are within the Olympic level sports.
Yeah.
I mean, I give you that point, but I think when I think of great direction in sports movie, I think of Tom Berenger walking up to home plate, calling his shot,
that
laying down that bunt. Willie Mays Hayes rounding second base.
What are we
coming in for the slide?
You may run like Mays, but you hit like shit.
Best sports movie of all time. I'll say it. Major League to me. That it is the top of the mountain.
Advised for number 1. That's for sure.
Comedy.
As much as I love
drama.
Their own, the Major League is my biggest regret of not keeping. My biggest regret of not keeping that. Again, 3 sucks. That franchise is flawless to me. Flawless to me.
2 and 3 sucks.
1 is amazing. 2 was the first one I saw to make me go back to that, and 3 I grew up on. Flawless. But Rocha, you also had baseball. Again, I understand objectively, but my heart isn't into baseball movies.
Yes. Yeah. Number 1. I mean, there's so many great baseball movies, and they're Americana. They're inspirational. And look, we're talking movies, right? So all those things count, including the documentaries about baseball, which are incredible.
Okay.
I just finished watching for the first time the Ken Burns doc on baseball a few weeks ago, and man, that thing was engrossing as hell. And they pulled no punches in showing you the beauty of the game and the racism involved in the game and how the game was constructed and built for the haves and the have-nots. It was fantastic. And so you look at that, and then you look at these baseball films. Field of Dreams. Yeah, you can talk about it, but it's it's He Got Game for white people. I love it. I think it's so fantastic. And you have that moment at the end. They have that beautiful, you want to have a catch. You can't beat that moment. Tomorrow, someone needs to chisel the darkness around your heart off of it so that you can enjoy that moment, because it makes no sense that you don't like that moment. And yeah, you talk about League of Their Own. There's a lot of League of Their Own. But then you look at 61, that fantastic film that Billy Crystal directed about the chase for Roger Maris. Thomas Jane in one of the last roles. Was that?
Barry Pepper.
I said Barry Pepper needs more work.
Yeah. Barry Pepper, noted Scientologist. Barry Pepper and yes, you should look that up. Barry Pepper and Thomas Jane were fantastic in that movie. There's so many great things. You can go back to the classic for the early films. I mean, the original Angels in the Outfield. You can go back and look at the one that Anthony Perkins, where he played the pitcher who was suffering with mental illness. That was based on true story for St. Louis Cardinal. He did a fantastic job, Anthony Perkins, in that role, dealing with stuff like that in the 1940s and 50s. There's so many great baseball movies all the way through the years that get you inspired and bring you back to remember a snapshot. Even 42, which isn't that good of a film, but Chadwick Boseman is incredible as Jackie Robinson. And look, it's that name, Jackie Robinson, right? That is so huge. Babe Ruth is huge. These names are classic names, and I think a lot of the films capture that spirit of teamwork and people coming from disparate backgrounds coming together to play as a team. And baseball is one of the most team sport-oriented sports that you could play. Baseball with 5 people, you could still have Jordan all alone while the Jordanettes are standing around. That's how it works sometimes. In baseball, you can't have that. No matter how good the pitcher is, someone's got to catch that ball. Someone's got to stop that ball from getting into the outfield. So it's a team game, and I think that's why I love baseball movies as much as I do.
Jumping off of that team game point, one of my favorite movies of all time that not a lot of people have seen or even heard of, Bingo Long's Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings, Billy D. Williams, Richard Pryor, James Earl Jones.
Keep it going.
Amazing film about this barnstorming Negro League team and what they have to do to get money and to get by in this era. And it's ridiculous and it's hilarious and it's heartbreaking at times. I love Bingo Long. You know, a movie that is not nearly as good as Bingo Long, but it still tugs at my heartstrings, maybe because the lead actor is no longer with us. Mr. 3000 with Bernie Mac. I know it's not a great movie, but when Stan Ross has his chance to hit 3,000 hits and he gives it up for the good of the team, it does something to you, man. Yeah. So I think that's why baseball is my number one, just because I love all of these sports movies with the exception of Olympics, probably.
I haven't mentioned Moneyball, which is
baseball touches something deep within.
That's true. Like Moneyball is a better Jerry Maguire that fits for that fits for that sport.
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire is about a sports agent. Moneyball is about him building that team and then turning down the Red Sox, which I'm a big fan of as a Yankees fan, and all of that goes into that. It's so powerful, that film, and what he's going through and what he's negotiating. And The Natural, that is just a great film with Robert Redford, Barry Levinson directing it. It's such a good damn film. People forget how many great baseball films we've had.
Bull Durham.
Yeah, Bull Durham, sure.
Yeah, I'm going to come in a little bit and try to defend Rue's position. I was right there with basketball and football for my number one, and it was because it was tough. But I don't know, people haven't mentioned the movie Finding Forrester yet, which is an excellent baseball or basketball movie.
True.
Blue Chips. I don't think I even love the movie
Eddie. Blue Chips, Coach Pete.
With Whoopi Goldberg when she takes over the New York Knicks.
Eddie? I'm sorry, it's a Knicks movie.
And my buddy,
it's a Knicks movie, so you know I love it.
Me and my buddy have quoted a Von Make basket to each other since that movie came out.
Wait, I'm gonna throw Bad News Bears in the mix. No one's mentioned Bad News Bears for baseball movies. Come on.
I mean, you got Just Right as an underrated rom-com that is baseball.
Yes, Queen
Latifah.
Oh yeah,
true.
And if you haven't seen Hustle yet, shout out to Adam Sandler once again. Hustle, amazing basketball movie. So I was our lists were nearly identical. Nearly.
Yeah. I mean, Love Jones. You can make an argument for Love Jones. That's a fantastic basketball movie as well.
Yeah. And Love and Basketball is one of the ones that never ever
play me for your heart.
Yes.
And anytime it gets brought up, then be like, oh yeah, that isn't a great, amazing movie. Look, I just have more movies in basketball that I love, as well as actual great films. Just a combination of both. In that football's behind it. I will say 3, 2, and 1. I actually thought I was going to keep baseball movies at first. And then I actually dug deeper and I was like, sorry, basketball movies are my childhood. So I had to keep flipping it. Rocha, you also had basketball as your number 2. So give a little bit about that and final thoughts about the list.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough to not put basketball number 1. I love basketball. Of course, boxing would probably be my overall number 1, period. But since it wasn't a choice, but basketball was real close. It broke my heart to move it down to number 2, but the Americana of number 1 is why I had to go with that. But I love basketball movies like nobody's business. I just finished watching the Bill Russell documentary on Netflix, which is incredible. It's like 3 hours. It's so much information. There's so much involved in basketball. I'm right now watching the tournament. I haven't watched the tournament in years, and I'm having a blast watching the tournament. this time around. There's so much about basketball that I love. Again, as I mentioned, yeah, I was trying to put it down a little bit. Team sport, you have Jordan and everybody else standing around. But really, the great games we love, the great basketball teams we love are because they flow with each other. They know how to play off of each other. And you see, watching a team learn how to play off each other in a basketball movie is so just enjoyable and enriching. And you're seeing, again, people from different walks of life trying to figure out how to come together as a team and defend each other. You know, I was looking at that thing that happened a few days ago with that young woman and the other young woman talking in the handshake line, going at each other. And then other teammates came over and defended them in the press conferences. And I thought that was awesome. It's a way of like bringing people together and creating that sense of teamwork. And so you see that throughout these basketball movies that I think are fantastic to watch. And yeah, Hoosiers is my favorite. And I know recently now people have come after it because they beat an all-black team and all that. I get it. But to me, when I watched it in the 80s, it's about the underdog. I wasn't looking at the final team being in. It could have been purple. It wouldn't have mattered. I was cheering for this team to overcome the odds. That's what I connected to. And a man who is redeeming himself from mistakes that he made in the past. And, you know, as a young guy, I didn't really get that. But as you get older and you make those mistakes, you really sympathize with Gene Hackman's character and the journey he's going on. So there's something really powerful in that. And I think a lot of basketball movies have people being redeemed for the shit that they went through at younger ages, whether it be the players or the coaches. And I love that about these basketball movies. But, you know, overall, there's so many great movies in all these categories. Like you guys have multiple times. It's tough to rank them because you're going to hurt yourself moving some of them down because you do love so many of those movies in those categories.
Yeah. Peggy, you had football. You're the only person with football as your number one. Give us your final thoughts on the list in general and why you had football.
Well, thought number one is Rocha. I did not realize your hatred for the movie Rudy, but we're going to have to talk about that off camera at some point in time. That took me a little bit off base, but I understand everyone's reasoning for where they put everything on their list. You talk to me tomorrow, my list might change. I might have basketball number one, football number two, because there are great movies about each of these sports, and you're going to lose a bunch of great stuff no matter what you keep it for your one gotta stay. But sorry that I came up with the topic, but I had fun.
hey, it was beautiful. Nate, you also saved baseball, but you also had basketball as your number two. You and Rocha had the exact same list, actually.
Yeah.
Again,
copycats.
Yeah, but give us your final thoughts on your one, the order and the list in the show tonight.
Great minds, Pete Bell and Neon Boudreaux. We're in sync in this game this week. But yeah, it was a tough list to make, except for the Olympics, of course. Again, I'll keep banging on the Olympics, with the exception of my beloved Jamaican bobsled team. But I think, you know, when I think about these movies and what makes me enjoy these movies, what makes me go back to these movies, it's about not necessarily the quality of the movie, even though, like I said, I think A League of Their Own is amazing. Major League might be my favorite sports movie of all time. It's about the emotion that it elicits, you know. And like, so Blue Chips, I know Blue Chips is average at best, but seeing Pete Bell yell at Tony because Tony failed his TV class and Tony was shaving points. It's like, damn, like that made me feel something. It takes me back, you know, to when I first watched that movie in the late 90s or whatever. And so delineating this list, it all came down to emotion at the end of the day. And so I'm going to throw more cliches into my answer because all these movies played hard, man. You know, any given Sunday or Saturday, either one of these movies could have taken the top spot. But I think when it boils down to it, it's what made me feel the most. And at the end of the day, it's baseball. You know, there's a reason why I'm a long-suffering Braves fan with only brief instances of joy over decades of intermittent disappointment. And it's because that's what I grew up watching with my dad, who is an Orioles fan. So he taught me. I learned at the feet of the master of bad teams. You know, he taught me how to be a long-suffering sports fan. So baseball has always had a special place in my heart, especially, you know, we talk about this on the Kings of Sport from time to time. Like, there's a generation of baseball fans, like when baseball was cool and baseball was kind of hip and baseball was also black in a way that I don't think it's been in years. Back when you had, you know, guys like Griffey Jr., Strawberry, Doc, you know, cats like that who were Barry Bonds and his big ass head, who were kind of the face.
Bobby, come on, let's give up the greatest guys. Come on,
Big Bobby, you know, Bobby Bonilla, who still getting checks to this day. Like there was an era that I think is kind of past, and so part of me, the older I get, longs for that era, and that's why baseball always has a good place in my heart.
All right. And Paige, you somehow always tend to just be the only person. You are literally the only person who saved what everybody else kicked out first.
Yeah.
So tell us how you got there. Tell us about your number one and your overall final thoughts on this.
Yo, guys, I'll translate this quote to kind of make it about the show. And it's one show. We may do this 10 times. You guys can all win every time with the 9, but this one game, this one show, it's our night, guys. And you know what? Miracle is the most inspirational film. What I personally think is the most inspirational film like ever. And guess what? It's based on a true fucking story. So suck it, guys. That movie's amazing. I don't care what anyone says. That is the greatest sports movie of all time. And we need more hockey films, hands down. And who's ever calling? Fuck
Sorry
them,
about that.
because
Sorry about that.
This is my rant right now. But no, like I've said it from the beginning, guys. Like for me, I went from about inspiration and quality of films. And yes, all of these, this is a very hard list to create. And I even said that to you when we were texting each other, because like, do you go with what you like? Do you go with what's the best? And I love sports movies. It's like one of my favorite genres of films. But for me, with this list, I had to go with pretty much inspirational and what gets like the fire burning beneath me to like make me feel so eager and like want to do something better. And for me, Olympic sports, like what's better than to win it all for your country, like, or for your people, like, and that's why I went with that. I'm not subtle. Everyone knows this.
Not at all. Not at all. Look, I am going to leave it with one movie that hasn't been mentioned that, again, just shaped my childhood and why I chose basketball. And that's because I will forever remember the Jimmy Dolan Shake and Bake, the air up there. Love that film. So before we get out of here, just a quick recap. Where I am the only one who should say basketball, but Outlaw, Peggy, and Nate did have it at number 2. Paige saved the Olympics. Outlaw, John, and Nate have the same list, saving baseball, and Peggy saved football. Before we get out of here, Peggy, tell the great people where they can find you, anything you're doing, or if you're just saying hi to everybody in the interwebs. And you were muted. It is not a show with Peggy on it without her muting her mic every single time.
Gotta keep the streak alive, Rue. I really don't have much to promote at the moment, bit of a lull, but you can find me at Peggy B Ball across all social media platforms, and make sure you subscribe to this and everybody else's stuff that they're gonna name right now.
Nate, let us know what the people where the people can find you and what you got going on.
Yeah, I always appreciate the time we spend together, brother. And where you can find me besides at a Sizzler, which is one of my favorite lines from White Men Can't Jump. We going Sizzler. You can find me tonight, this very night. I think this is the most immediate plug I've ever given on any platform, because tonight on Post Wrestling's YouTube page, we are going to be having the March edition of the NWA podcast, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, which is a show that talks about pro wrestling from the perspective of Black fans, Black journalists, Black media members, and Black performers.
I want in on that show. I want in on that goddamn show.
Hey, we have open walls. It doesn't matter. We bring everybody into the tent on the NWA podcast. And this week, tonight, we are doing our WrestleMania preview. So it's going to start at 9 Eastern, and we usually run for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Our guest is going to be SP3 from True Hill Heat. So check that out on the Post Wrestling YouTube page. I'm also a part of the Kings of Sport podcast. We got a Patreon, patreon.com/the Kings of Sport. $5 gets you in the door. If you want to pay more, I won't stop you, not in this economy. And the last thing I'll promote is I'm a part of the Multiverse of Color, which is used to be known as the DCTV Podcast Network, but now they're expanding because DCTV television on the CW network, as we know it, is pretty much dead. It's over, So Multiverse of Color has a litany of shows on there, and I'm part of the Lituation Room, which basically we're just black and nerdy, and we do black and nerdy things, and we might have a show this weekend. I don't know if we do or not, but yes. Anything else at Nate Mosaic on Twitter. And again, thank you, man. I appreciate you looking out for me, man. It's like you walked out of my own cornfield that I got back here in Virginia and said, Nate, will you come on this week? And I said, I got to, man. James Earl Jones, leave me alone. I got to come hang out with my brother and this great crew that he's assembled, and it was a fun time.
Appreciate you. Finish this off. The Outlaw, Mr. John Rocha, thank you for coming on. Let the people know what's got going on and where they can
Well, Nate just took all of my time, so just follow me at the Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. No. But today, just like Nate, I have my wrestling show, Strong Style. It's on at 3 p.m. PT, so just in 3 hours, we're going to break down all the big news that happened through the week of pro wrestling. We're not doing our WrestleMania preview yet. We'll be doing that next week, but we're expecting Nate getting the jump in now that Dominic and Ray is going to happen. So looking forward to talking about that. But Geek Buddy stuff all over the place. You guys can enjoy the Jedi Way that I've got going on there. Basically, just come to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. You'll see the hot mic there as well. A lot of Star Wars fans pissed off because we're busting news out and they're getting all passive aggressive on Twitter about it. Gotta love the toxicity going on just because we happen to predict something at Star Wars Celebration. So, but thank you for having me on the show, Amaro. This is a blast, and always great to see you guys. I haven't seen you all in such a long time, so much love and nice to meet you, Nate, brother man.
Yes, sir. Won't be the last time.
Thank you for coming on. We got everybody's profiles in the links in the comments below. So as always, before we get out of here, we got to have our riddle for next episode. And next month is April, but you can't be a fool if you want to survive in this ring. You want to get on the show. You got to have pride. You got to have power. You got to stay hungry. You got to devour every single other person on this show, or they'll overpower you. They'll yell over you. It's like you'll be here, but they can't see you. So what you got to do is you got to knock, let your devil in. Be ready for all contenders because you're going to have to saw bone. You're going to have to shred ego. You got to be a giant. You got to be whatever persona you want to be if you want to face everyone here or risk being under their heels. With that, for Paige, for Peggy, for Nate, and for the Outlaw, one John Rocha, we are out of here.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.